Welcome back to another episode of Built for Legacy. I am your host, Suheyl Hernandez, and today I have the pleasure of sitting with this young lady, Angie, which I've known for many, many, many years and has a very special place in my heart. But I want you guys to get to know her a little bit better. To get to know her since at such a young age, she's done so many things. So come on, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Angelic Garcia. I'm very happy to be here. It's definitely a pleasure to be with the person I call Tia, but you guys know her as Suheyl. So I'm excited to get started and talk a little bit about us. And yeah.
So, Angie, why don't you tell them, how did I meet you? How old were you?
Well, a very long time ago, to be honest with you. She has known me since I was about 8 years old, around that time frame. Since I was in third grade, I was able to meet Eileen, which is her daughter, and we have been best friends ever since. We grew up together. She saw me through every chapter of my life, as you can say, and now I have the pleasure to be working alongside her.
Yeah. And the pleasure is mine, guys. The pleasure is mine. I am proud beyond words. I feel, I don't have words to express how I feel, and how proud I am of her and everything that she's learning and how far she's coming with all the administrative work that she's actually taken off of my plate. So I am super proud and super excited for her. So there's a lot of young people that watch the show.
Yeah.
And I want you to give them an example. I want you to tell them your journey. What have the things that you've done, the jobs that you've had.
Okay.
I want you to tell them, this is about you today. So.
Okay. Well, where do I start? I guess the first thing that I could really say is that, from a very young age, I lost a parent. After losing a parent, especially from a horrible disease called cancer, it took me to a place that I, at a young age shouldn't have been in. It made me grow up faster than I should have and caused me to start working since I was about 16 years old. From a very young age, I realized that, nobody was just going to hand what I wanted on a plate. I had to work for it myself. And I had, yes, great people around me that definitely pushed me and taught me a lot to be able to get to where I am today. But starting off from a very young age, I went straight into plastic surgery. Working in the medical field was definitely an experience, I would say. I saw everything you could see. And it definitely taught me a lot because I had so much on my plate at such a young age that it really gave me the experience and built my character, because working in plastic surgery was definitely a lot of responsibility. And working with so many different doctors, I worked with about 22 different doctors in total.
Wow.
And working from the OR to sales, a little bit of everything. I think I did every position they could have given me.
How old were you when you did that?
Well, I started at 17. And then officially working in the OR, which was what I did for such a long time, being general manager and hand in hand with the doctor. I was about 19. I started running my first plastic surgery office by myself at 20.
Wow. Guys, you see, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
So I know you were there for a while,
Yeah.
and you liked it. And why don't you tell us about that?
I definitely was there. I was there for about 6 years or so, if I'm not mistaken. I loved it. I had a passion for medicine from, I think, ever since I was a little girl. It goes back to, being around so many doctors and hospitals from when I was little with my dad, which is the person who had passed when I was younger. I guess I gained a passion in a way seeing them work so hard to, try to make him feel better and just give him all the care and the love that he needed in such a bad time in his life. So that gave me a little bit more of an inspiration. So joining plastic surgery was definitely not in the plans. I was originally going to do nursing, but...
No, you were going to be a doctor.
Well,
why don't you tell them? You were going to be a doctor. Come on. Say the whole story.
Okay, so I did... Okay, let me see. being a doctor was the first plan. Then I said I wanted to be a surgeon. I think I wanted to be everything that you can say in medicine, but going into plastic surgery, it kind of gave me a view of a different type of medical because, cosmetic is not like, oh, it's an emergency. It's a want, it's a need, I guess, in some eyes. But I really got to see what it could do for a woman's confidence and what it does to kind of give yourself a gift that maybe you weren't able to have naturally. Enhancement, it really does something to your personality even. It changes you as a person. So it was nice seeing that. But being in plastic surgery, I definitely did have a really good love for it. The sales of it, the management, being in the OR. I'm not the type of person that doesn't like blood. It gets the adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I loved it. I loved being in the OR. But it was definitely a nice experience. And, being so young and running a plastic surgery place by myself, it was definitely a good experience, I would say.
Well, you definitely got very good training because you're running pretty much the show here,
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm very proud of you. But then after that, the entrepreneur in her came along, right?
Yes.
So tell them about that.
Well, being a manager of the plastic surgery, it kind of gave me an inspiration to do something on my own. And I was about, I would say 21, turning 22, when I started my own lash and brow business. It was definitely a challenge. Doing it all on my own, kind of starting something from zero. It brought out that independent little girl that wanted to do it so bad and wanted to push for her dreams. It brought that out of me. It grew very fast, honestly. I was super blessed. I have God to thank for that. He gave me a business that I thought that was going to take a really long time to build, and within less than a year I gained a full roster of clients, and it was something that I loved. I didn't find it like a job. It was definitely like a hobby, and I still have so much love for all the clients and everyone that I met because I gained really good connections from it. But yeah, that was definitely, and it still is, a love of mine. But
we have this conversation all the time. Then your tia comes along.
Yeah, she did.
So what happened? Tell them, a few weeks before I talked to her, she had spoken to my daughter, which is her best friend again, and say that part.
So basically, I had gotten into conversation with Eileen, like, real estate is something that I've always wanted to kind of look into and gain more knowledge of because it goes back to the sales girl in me. I love what it is. Interior design is always something I've been interested in as well. And I feel like that all plays in a part of real estate. So normal conversation. One day I told her, I really want to get into real estate. Like, I would love to work with my tia. And she's like, you should definitely talk to her. But, I had so much going on with my own business that I was like, oh, let's just see, maybe it'll wait for a while. I don't even know if she's hiring. Like, it was kind of a little bit of a backfire from my end. I wish I would have, kind of went sooner. But I guess everything has its timing.
Everything has its timing. And God's timing is perfect. So she told my daughter to tell me, but my daughter doesn't give any messages. So she definitely didn't tell me. And you can tell them, or you want me to tell them how. Okay. So I was getting ready to film one of these, and I had a podcast, and I had someone that was going to do my makeup professionally. The person that was going to do my makeup professionally took long, and I had an appointment to go to for the podcast, which was my second podcast in Spanish. And the lady pretty much sold me out.
Yeah.
Right? So my daughter walks into the room and I said, Eileen, 911, I need you to call Angie. So Eileen calls her and she's like, your mom is so lucky. My client that never canceled on me.
Yeah.
I'm on my way. So she comes to the house and she does my makeup because she does beautiful makeup. And when she leaves, Mike, my husband, looks at me and tells me, hey, why don't you talk to Angie? And I was like, Angie doesn't care about this. Angie doesn't. He goes, I think you should talk to her. So then that's how all of this.
Yeah, that was the root.
That's how it all started, right? So then, since she has such great experience, she actually came in straight to a manager position. So, how do you feel about it? How do you like it so far? I know that you don't do the real estate part of it because you only do the administrative part.
Yeah.
As of right now, you only hear and see behind the scenes. But how do you feel? How do you feel running a big brokerage? Because this is a big brokerage. How do you
Yeah.
feel?
I honestly, I could say that at the beginning, when she called me and she was like, "Hey, I know that this is a long shot, but I know that you have your business. Would you even be interested?" I told her, I said, "Well, I need to talk to you?" And she's like, "No, it was your Uncle Mike. Like, he's the one that told me to call you and to just, say it and just see what happens if you would be interested." So I guess, like, ever since I came in and I was able to take the position, I love it. I definitely think that this was something that was in the cards for me. It's like we always say, like, God does everything for a reason and brings people into your life at more on a daily basis when you most need them. And I definitely think, I loved my business and I still do, don't get me wrong. I love what it is, but I was in a need of change, need of inspiration, a need of, getting me out of my comfort and reaching out for something that I could potentially, in the future see a career in. And I definitely I definitely did see it. And as I've gone through the journey of learning and seeing what it is to run such a big brokerage, I have met so many wonderful agents, and working alongside the two people that were with me since I was a little girl has honestly been a blessing. So I love it and I'm happy to be here. I know that we are going to be more than what we expect. We're gonna definitely grow and conquer the real estate world, and and I'm happy to be the one to do it with her.
So it's funny because obviously no one knew that I've known her and that she calls me Tia. So then she's walking around and she has to tell me something. She's like, Tia. And people look at her like,
Like, what is
what is she
did she just
saying?
say, Tia?
So what do you like the most of what you do right now?
I guess what I like the most is, I know it's weird, but I love the numbers. Like, I was never good at math. When I was in high school or in middle school, I was never the math person. Mind you, I was in honors and AP, everything, but
That's
math,
why she was supposed to be a doctor, but it's okay.
it's okay. God has other plans.
Of course he does.
But I was never good at math. And then, coming here, I started to enjoy the numbers and seeing, what a big brokerage could do to new agents, and seeing how, we have agents that, have came from Cuba and that's, where my family is from. I've seen them build such a wonderful career. I think what I love seeing the most, and, it's not, they say it's not all about the money, but I love to see what it does for people, how happy they get when they get their closing. And, it's just definitely doing the administrative side of being able to, give these agents their compensation. And seeing how happy they are when I call them like, "Hey, I just sent over your compensation, enjoy, have a good holidays." Now that the holidays had passed, I think it's that. Yeah. I think it's, giving them what they earned from all the hard work they did on their closings.
So that's something that I used to do, right?
Yeah.
And when she first started, I obviously didn't want to throw it on her. So she comes into my office, like what, 2 weeks after you were here?
Yeah, almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, almost 2 weeks. And she's like, okay, I'm sick of knowing that you're going home at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I need to learn this. And
yeah,
I think we sat down once or twice and she ran with it. She ran with it. She ran with those that watch my episodes that know that my worst nightmare was QuickBooks. Now I train her on QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And she's doing great. She also,
Thank you.
she reconciles the accounts. I get to go home early. My husband says he's going to have a serious talk with them too. And the serious
She's been really enjoying the leaving home early and being able to, be a little bit stress free. I like to take that off of her plate.
Yeah, and I love it. Thank you so much. But your uncle's not too happy because he says,
Yeah, no, I know.
yeah, he says I go home to bother him since too
Yeah.
early.
Or the cleaning lady.
Okay, guys, so I'll tell you something. The last, like, about month, I don't know, I just want to stay home with the cleaning lady and clean. I love to clean. I'm OCD. You forgot to mention something. Another big
What?
project that you have going on.
Yes.
A leap of faith that you took and that you're taking.
Yeah.
Which I'm very proud of you for. So why don't you tell them what else you got going on?
Well, to be an open book, I am super excited. This Saturday, January 10th, which is also my best friend's birthday, her daughter Eileen. So it's a special day for me, and I'm so happy that we're doing this on this day because it holds now two special times in my life. But I am opening with my older sister a tax agency. It's called A&A Tax Professional Corp. We're doing a little bit of everything, but definitely we're doing it right along tax season, which just started.
Yes.
But it's definitely a very exciting project, to be able to, again, at such a young age, take the leap of faith of doing this and adding onto my plate another journey. I'm happy to do it. I think you can say I'm very, since a young age, very much of a goal-getter. I never stay still. I'm always like, what's my next move? What's my next accomplishment? And now doing this one with my older sister has definitely been a blessing. It's been a challenge. It's definitely not easy opening a tax agency. But I'm excited to see what comes. Hopefully, in God's will, it takes off and it launches. Definitely has met some interesting people along this journey. But it's been a blessing, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully it goes far.
I will. Why wouldn't it?
I know.
Always remember, you manage a brokerage that started with one agent, and I think we're 200 and something now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen overnight. And you see and you hear all the struggles that we go through on a
Yeah.
daily, but that's part of
100%.
being a business owner. So
Yeah.
a lot of people say, I don't want to clock in and I don't want to clock out, and I want to work for myself. But when you work for yourself, you work 24/7.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When you work for yourself, you work 24/7. And it's hard, and then you worry, and you're gonna have sleepless nights about it.
Oh, I'm already having it, and we haven't even officially opened our doors.
Well,
it's crazy.
It's gonna be a great launch, and
Yeah.
and I wish you and your sister nothing but the best. Your sister's also a go-getter. I know her very well. Haven't seen her in years, but I know her. So, if there's one tip that you can give, either a young lady or a young man, just like yourself, that's out there and is scared, and they don't know what to do or if to do it, what would you recommend to them?
My best advice would be do it and do not look back. I feel like in life, being so young, you say, oh, I could wait till I'm older, or oh, this could wait, or maybe I'm not ready, or I don't have it in me, or, I just feel like if you have an idea, if you have like a spark in you that says, oh, I wonder if I could do this, in my heart, I feel like that is God giving you like a sign, a proposition of this is what you're meant to do, or try it and see how far it could go. At the end of the day, if you don't try something, you will never know if you could be successful at it. And I feel like taking that leap of faith and just jumping for your goals and reaching out and just saying, you know what, I'm going to try it. If I fail, it's okay. I'm going to get right back up and I'm going to try it again. So my best advice is do it and don't look back. At the end of the day, if you are meant to be successful at something, you will be. It just takes a lot of hard work. It's not easy, but it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. And whatever you put your mind to, you can 100% do it. You just have to not be afraid.
I love to hear you speak, right? Because I hear some of my words coming out of her mouth, and then I'm like, oh wow, I'm so proud of you. You know,
you,
I'm
dear.
really proud of you. I'm sure that you're gonna make it a long way. And yes, guys, God never gives you the fire if you're not capable of doing it. So.
Yeah.
I also had my long journey myself. I started very, very young. And that's why I love to see them succeed and do the things that they have in their heart, because I once was also in that position. And I'll tell you something, I've seen a very big change in you and in Eileen. So between 22 to 24, 25, I've seen a very big change, and I'm very proud. I really
Thank
am.
you.
So I want to say thank you for being a guest at my show. And for all of those watching, remember to hit like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Until the next one.